Hi.
Hi.
So, welcome to Chrysalis on the Couch. My name's Kay, and I'm a Chrysalis tutor and your host for this edition today. So, this subject is life after Chrysalis, and I'm joined by Wajeeha, who was a Chrysalis student and is now a tutor for Chrysalis, and I'm joined by Shangita and Tracey, who were both Chrysalis students. Tracey has only recently finished, and Shangita finished a while ago, but she'll tell you more about that. So we're talking about our journeys since qualifying, and I know for me, I didn't train with Chrysalis. I trained many years ago. However, my journey since qualifying has been full of twists and turns and all sorts of interesting things, both professionally and personally. And I thought it'd be really nice to talk about those journeys and what we've been doing since qualifying. So that's what we're going to do today. So let's start with you then, Tracey. So you haven't been qualified for very long, but I understand you're doing quite well. So tell us more about that.
Yeah, I finished in January. It was such a relief, it really was. It just seemed such a long journey, but really enjoyable in a strange way as well. And I knew very early on that I wanted to go on to private practice, and an opportunity came my way to work at my placement, but turn of events that didn't actually work out. So yeah, I've been plugging away, working full-time still, and plugging away at building a practice by working evenings, weekends, and every other hour that I can fit in, really, and loving it. You know, I do have my little moments that I'm tired, but I really do. When I'm here in my therapy room that we had built a little while ago, which is just perfect, with my little kitchen, and I can come down here and make a coffee and just crack on. I just absolutely love it. The life after Chrysalis for me has been, you know, really quite interesting. The pandemic made it a little bit more difficult, and Zoom counselling is also a really strange way of doing things, but we adjust, don't we? We adapt to a lot of different things. Some clients like it, others don't. Doing practical work with them I found a little bit more challenging, but overall, as we're coming through it now and we're back to face, it just really concreted it for me that this really is my passion and what I want to do. So I just work hard at marketing myself and getting new clients and working my way towards leaving my job.
So that's the aim, is it, to leave your full-time work?
Yeah. I mean, having done it for so many years, I want to be the boss now. I want to choose my hours. You know, I want to be able to pick and choose when I work, who I work with, how I do it. I want to hold the cards and not have to sit in traffic every day. And hopefully in time there'll be grandchildren and I can be on hands, and it gives me that flexibility, it gives me that freedom to do all those things and not do the 9 to 5 anymore, and do something, more importantly, what I enjoy.
Tracey, do you find that most of the clients that you have are sort of, they almost sort of fit into that flexibility that you're looking for? So, you know, after work or early morning or lunchtime kind of thing. So you're naturally transitioning to that flexibility, that kind of work-life balance that you're looking for.
Yeah, and because they don't know that I work, they don't need to know, do they? So I just tell them when I'm available, rather than, oh, what suits you? It's what suits me. And that's a really nice thing to be able to do. And they don't know any difference. You say, oh, I've got availability at 7 o'clock on Wednesday. How's that fit for you? So you can mould it the way you want it to be, and then none of the wiser. But I'm hoping that to gradually build it up so that I can drop a day at work. One, so that I'm got a bit of time to play catch up and stuff, but then I can have some day clients as well as the evenings as well, because evenings don't suit everybody. I appreciate that. And then I'll be able to afford to drop that day. And once I've done that, then I know that that's it, I'm in the right direction. And then, you know, do I drop another day? I probably won't bother with dropping the second day and just go for it.
That's the beauty of it, isn't it? Where you can really like test the waters out and gradually, especially if you're in a role, you know, in an employed role where you can test it out and say, oh, can I reduce my hours to, you know, 4 days a week? So then you can really see, you know what, actually, this is what I really want to be doing. You know, this is what my soul craves. And then you just have the courage to say, you know, I'm doing this full time.
Yes, taking that leap, isn't it? It's scary, but I think also what I came away from with Chrysalis was invaluable. I learned so much, not just from the course, but from the other people as well, and tutors and study groups and all those things. You put all that together and you continually learn, don't you? Every client teaches you something new, and CPD, and always constantly learning. So all the time you kind of feel a little bit more empowered by it and more confident to do it.
I mean, I'm still learning from every client now. You will always learn from your clients, and it is a big leap to just suddenly give up your sort of guaranteed income to do this work. And for me, I always did some part-time work while I was building up my practice. So I did part-time for myself and then part-time other work as well, until I got to a certain point, and then, you know, I thought, oh well, that's it, I'm just going to take the risk now, and went totally self-employed, and it's just been great for me. So hopefully it will for you as well.
Yeah, I think the pandemic probably put a little bit of doubt in there and a bit of fear. It kind of made everybody realise that we just don't know, do we? Who ever thought this would happen in our lifetime, and how it stopped the world? Literally, it shut the world down. So there are always going to be risks. Hopefully not as big as the pandemic, but there will always be risks to take. And I think, you know, if you've got the skills and the tool set behind you, it's just about finding your audience and targeting them. And even that could be quite tricky, knowing who your audience are. Sitting there thinking, well, you know, what am I good at? What do I specialise in? What's my niche? And I still don't know now. I still don't know what my niche is now.
And sometimes we can be led in a totally different direction to where we thought we were going to go. So, Shangita, tell us about what's happened with you.
So I graduated in 2015. So it's been about 5 years. I loved every minute of the training. We started off in Hitchin and then ended up in Essex to do our training, because there wasn't enough of us to do the course in Hitchin. So 6 of us from Hertfordshire went to Essex once a month, to see Kay. She was our tutor. So it was good. Yeah, really, I loved the course. While we were training, when we were learning, like, you know, the different subjects, one of the things I was thinking was, I don't want to work with couples, and I didn't want to work with teenagers, like children. And when I finished my course, I started out slowly advertising for my practice. So I set up my own little practice, which is, I'm in here at the moment. My first client was a couple. And now I work in a school for teenagers. So never say never. Yeah. So
it's
that was
isn't it? Because it can be a certain client that you just get on so well with, that takes you down that road. So and you think, like you say, you didn't want to do couples or children or teenagers.
Yeah.
You know, that couple that you had initially, you probably really had a relationship with, and thought, actually, I quite like this, I'm quite good at this, I'm enjoying this, and that's where your path took you.
Well, they were my first, like I said, the first couple as my private clients. I did 2 years of working privately, and then one day I thought, I'm just going to give it you know, give one of the local schools a call and see if it's for me. I don't know what made me make that call, and I did 6 weeks work with them, and it was once a week. I really enjoyed it. I was getting huge satisfaction from helping these young children. They were about 12-year-olds, like working in groups as well. So it wasn't even one-to-one. It was thrown right in the deep end and working in a group of 5 to 6 in each group. And I've got positive feedback as well. So they asked me to work 1 day a week. So I started working 1 day a week, and then it increased 2 days a week. And then before I knew it, I was working 4 days a week at the school and doing a bit of private work because I already had my private clients. So I was working during the day with the school, and in the evening and sometimes weekends with my private clients. It was quite full on, but I enjoyed every minute. I didn't feel like I was working. So I think
That's lovely.
Yeah.
That's really nice. Yeah.
that's what it is. I mean, I don't know how you felt, but I feel like I'm not working. It's just gives you this really good feeling. And then I dropped down last year. I had a personal bereavement, so that was really, really tough. But we're still working, which I think that was a bit of my lifeline as well. Continue working at the school. And then last September, I dropped down to 2 days a week. And then November, they upped it again to 3 days. And then, of course, come March, school's closed. So I was supporting the students, the vulnerable students still, but over the phone.
Right.
Yeah, and now I'm on 6 weeks holiday.
How was that transition for you, moving from having those face-to-face sessions and very much being part of the school community?
Sorry.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden you'll find you're supporting the vulnerable students on the phone.
These students that I was working with was the ones that I was working with face-to-face. So they already knew, we already had, we already had a relationship, a trust. So we had all of that set already. So it was just over the phone. They already knew how I worked, etc. So it wasn't too bad. But I did have 2 new students who I had to speak to, who I'd never met. And I wasn't sure how that was going to go with the students because they're quite young as well, about 11 years old, 13 years old. They're quite young, aren't they? And they've never met me. Because being in a school environment, I'm not a teacher where I'm walking around the school where they know me. So it's only the students who are having a therapy who come up to my office. So it is quite difficult to support somebody over the phone because you can't see their facial expressions and things like that. But I managed, they were quite open. I managed to build up a trust with them as well. And they were very open and relaxed. So come September, when we go back, I will be meeting a couple of them for the first time, even though I've been supporting them over the phone for about 6 to 8 weeks.
That'll be nice, putting the voice to the voice to the face,
Yeah, voice to the face, yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And are you going back 4 days straight away?
Yeah, so I start on the 1st of September, and they want me to do the 4 days. So I'll be working Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. Yeah.
It's going to be so needed.
Sorry?
It's going to be so needed.
But it already was. I mean, we have a waiting list as well. So there are students already on the waiting list that we see. So it is tough. It is hard. I also do group work with the students as well.
That's what I was going to say. The fact that there's so many students needing help.
Yeah.
So you're there in a full-time position in a school purely for, these young people that are struggling.
I know. I mean, when I was growing up, we didn't have that, did it? Like no counselling, nothing. So it just wasn't needed. I don't know whether we needed it or whether, but there just wasn't that kind of support. But now I feel that most schools have a counsellor now, even primary schools.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe that's something I could look into as a part-time thing.
Yeah.
To support me along the way, because, like you say, all schools seem to have these.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I first went in and I said, I'm happy to offer my services for free of charge. So I did there was a project that they were working on, and that's what they said, would you like to work on this project? I said, yes. So I was going in once a week working on a project with the Year 8 for the whole day. And I think that gave me a real feel for it. And I thought, yeah, this is actually what I want to do. So while I was on my course, and I said, never want to work with kids. I don't want to work with couples, so I've learnt my lesson, never say never.
Well, your clients find you, don't they? You know, you can say I'm not going to, but somehow, you know, you start working with your ideal client because they seem to find you. So
well, that's it. I mean, when I went to university, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I ended up in IT. So I was an IT trainer for a few years, and then I had my children. And after having my children, I decided that actually I didn't want to work in London anymore, going in and doing that wasn't my life anymore. It was very different. And I've always been pulled towards counselling side of things. I used to find that people used to open up quite openly. And I thought, well, actually, I'm going to give this a go. It's for me. And it's the best thing I've ever done. It's very rewarding, and I love it.
It is.
I was a hairdresser many moons ago, and I had the same thing back then, you know, cutting people's hair and listening to who was up to what and who had the problems. Yeah, they tend to migrate to you, don't they?
Yeah. I mean, once I was waiting outside Tesco, the fire alarm went, so I was just waiting outside, and this person I've never ever met in my entire life opened up and said that she, you know, her son was at nursery and she was toilet training her daughter. She was just opening up. I was like, okay, thank you.
I think it's much more rewarding than a lot of jobs, you know, when you're doing something you're passionate about and it doesn't feel like work and you've got the flexibility and everything, you know, it's really great. So we're obviously all enjoying it. And I did the same as you, because I didn't want to work with children, but I ended up working in 2 different schools for quite a while, even though that wasn't on my radar at all. You know, sometimes you're just in a certain place and it's almost like fate that you've been drawn to this certain thing to do for a little while, and then it might change in the future. So
not sure I don't know what I would, like where I would go from here. At the moment, working in the school, like I said, I've been there for nearly 3 years, and it's working really well. So I think I can't see myself moving just yet. But like I said, I'm not going to say this is what I'm going to do, or I'm not going to do that, because I don't know where it's going to take me.
Maybe you're supposed to be there for a while.
Yeah. And I've got 2 teenagers myself, so I work with teenagers, come home to 2.
Hard work.
Hard work there, haven't you?
So we had our A-level results yesterday for my daughter.
All right.
Yeah. I mean, she passed, which is great, and she's got her place at university.
Oh,
okay.
But yeah, so celebrations yesterday, so we're very pleased. She's going down a similar route. She wants to study criminal psychology.
Oh,
interesting.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, Wajeeha, so when did you train with Chrysalis, and what have you been doing since?
So I graduated in 2012, and after I graduated, I was like kind of a little bit, oh, what do I do with this piece of paper? I don't know what to do with it. You know, I've always worked in the caring field. So you know, working in the NHS, working in social care, working in education. So it was a natural transition for me to do. So when I graduated, I had to like step back and think, what am I gonna do with this? What, you know, why did I do it? What are the benefits that I'm going to get out of it, and how can I benefit other people doing it? So what I ended up doing was volunteering and working with a number of different charities. And through working with different charities, I think I honed my skills that way, and it kind of gave me that confidence that actually, do you know what, I know my stuff. And then I ended up training in mental health and delivering training to schools, colleges, universities around mental health for the young people to become peer supporters. And I did that for a little while. Still had my sort of day job working in education, and then most recently I've trained as a youth mental health first aid trainer. So I'm delivering again mental health training. So I went very much down that field of mental health awareness, raising mental health awareness. And through my work, working in domestic violence, working in abuse, I was really interested in relationships. So then started really looking into, you know, healthy relationships and really equipping people with just those tools of being in a healthy relationship. So that's what I've been doing. I've got I'll freelance for different charities, and I work for myself as well. So just hopping between different things. I'm not just doing the same. Every day is different. I'm doing something different every day. So
Sounds
it's a different,
busy.
a different hat every day. But like all of you have said, it's a natural calling, something in you that says that's what you need to be doing. And I remember I had a little bit of a bumpy road trying to qualify. Life throws its curveballs at you as it does. So I started off at Chelmsford with Kay. She was my tutor for a while. Things weren't going so well, so I dropped out. Deferred. That's it. I couldn't think of the word. I deferred, and then I ended up in London and qualified there. And I remember our last day when we were finishing off, you know, module 10, and we sat there, and I remember someone saying to the tutor, you know, there's 16 of us qualifying. What do we now do? You know, off in the world you go, you know. And I remember her saying that, don't worry, because the clients will find you. And that has always stayed with me, because it's so true. Every client that I've worked with in the past, or I'm currently working with now, you know, it just seems that I was meant to be working with them. You know, the voluntary work that I've done, I've worked in hospitals and things. All of that kind of work, it's just found me rather than me going looking for it. And I've enjoyed every bit of it. And then even the teaching for Chrysalis, that kind of found me as well. And that's been a huge learning curve. But when you're working with the students, again, you know, you see their passion, you find out the life story and the reason why they're there and why they want to do the course. And, you know, again, it's all about, I want to help, you know. And there's a term that I often come across, and I can relate to that. And it's like, you know, wounded healers. And I definitely resonate with that, you know, life took me on a journey. There was a lot of woundings that happened, but through that healing journey, I'm now able to share that with other people. And oh gosh, I love, like, I think it was it Shangita, you were saying it doesn't feel like work.
Yeah.
And like they say, do a job that you love and you never work a day in your life.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that saying. That's
yeah.
Really nice saying.
But yeah, through it all, you know, all that stuff, all the marketing that you have to do, all the, you know, getting yourself out there, getting your head around the legal side of things, you know, GDPR and all of that kind of stuff. Through all of that, I love what I do.
Yeah.
And what about the teaching? Because you haven't been doing that very long. How are you finding that? Is that totally different to the other work you've done?
So because I've been a facilitator and I've been delivering training to young people and adults, I thought it would be similar. And so I took it in my stride. I thought, oh, okay, natural transition. I'm delivering training, I'm teaching anyway, so it'd be a natural transition. I think it's been a big learning curve, because I started, my first class was in November. Then we had the Christmas break. And then my second class was in January, third class was in February, and March class was cancelled. And since then it's been on Zoom. So I've had to, like, when you talk about a learning curve, like, there's no diagram that I can draw you that will show you that learning curve that I've had to go through. Because I've gone through resisting Zoom, resisting technology for so long, because I love the classroom. I love that interaction in the classroom. I love seeing those light bulb moments. You know, I love seeing the students interacting with each other and sharing their life experiences as well, and, you know, coming back with questions. And then all of a sudden you've lost that face-to-face interaction and you're talking to people on a screen. And how do you manage that? And how does
it make it impersonal? Does it make it feel personal to bond with, you know, with the students? And
in the beginning it felt like that for me. I think it was because that was my resistance.
Oh, I think you've
It wasn't
frozen.
that was true. It was because I was just so resistant from it.
Oh, you froze there for a moment.
Wajeeha, are your students first year students?
Oh, so they're year 2.
Right, so they've had a whole year of face-to-face classroom environment, then going on Zoom. So as much as it's really new for you, it's and it's new for them. They've had that whole year, haven't they? So does that?
They've been fantastic. No, they've been fantastic. The students have been fantastic. Chrysalis has been fantastic because what they've done is, you know, the supplementary learning that's been put on. I feel that Chrysalis has really embraced this whole modern technology stuff, and they've really delivered extra value. And the students are saying that, you know, so when they've been coming to lesson to class, they've been saying, oh, you know, they've been talking about the supplementary webinars that they've been attending, and then because we've been able to use breakout rooms, and because we've still tried to maintain some kind of normality, they've really been excited by it. And also the fact is, no one's had to put anything on hold. So it's not like, oh, right, okay, you can't have any lessons anymore, so you have to wait now until next year. Everyone's still going. But also the reality of it is that we're going to need more counsellors. We're going to need more men and women who are equipped with the skills to be able to serve people in that well-being, that mental health space. And sometimes it's just about having that skill to listen. And if we equip people with that skill to listen, we're going to empower the next generation. So I think it's really, you know, I think it's been fantastic to have been part of that Chrysalis journey to transition from face to face onto online.
I think it's been difficult for all us tutors to do that, because we all had to learn a new system. Everybody's had to learn a new system. If you're seeing clients by Zoom, or if you're teaching by Zoom, it's all new, isn't it? So we're all getting our head round all this new way of being, really. But it's useful skills to have. Going to be useful in the future, I think.
Yeah,
I think it's the way forward now, isn't it? With the recent events, I think people are adjusting to it, and I think that people enjoy the fact that they don't have to leave home to have counselling or teaching, or, you know, so many things are done by Zoom now, aren't they? Yeah. It's become a bit of a household name. So it's
the thing that's missing is that you can't feel somebody's energy, and obviously you can't see all of their body language, so that makes it more difficult. But it's certainly useful, and it sounds like we've all been on quite amazing journeys, really. It's all really interesting. And I think with this type of work, particularly when you've done counselling training, there can also be a lot of personal changes. I know for me, there's been, you know, lots of different jobs, but also I've had different relationships and lost some friends, gained new friends. I've moved house several times. So personally, for me, there's been a lot going on as well. You know, I don't know how you guys feel about how your professional life has sort of fitted in with your personal life on that journey.
I think there's no doubt about it. Doing what we do, it changes us as a person. Yeah. You can't help that. You have to stop and look at yourself as well, don't you? And your own behaviours and thoughts and stuff, and friendships are left because you realise the toxic ones, and now you understand what these things are, how relationships work with their friendships or whatever. So I think you can't help but change and grow as an individual. And I can't tell you how many times that if I've got into a conversation or a bit of conflict with a friend or husband, they go, oh, don't counsel me.
Oh, yeah.
I get that a lot. I just see the world differently, and and my answers to things are different to what they would have been.
Yeah.
So personally, for me, the journey has changed a lot, a hell of a lot, and it's made me realise what's important as well.
Yeah, definitely. The importance, I think, like you said, but also not being responsible for everybody's emotions as well.
Yes.
Oh, that used to be so huge, like being responsible, making sure everybody else was okay. And you always take a second seat, and it's just like, no, I need to make sure that I'm okay as well.
Yeah.
Comes back to what Kay was saying about energy, doesn't it? Because you know, oftentimes when as a tutor, when you're reading students journals, and you can see that growth, the growth that even the students have taken from module 1 to module we're at module 7, to have seen the journey that the students have taken as well, and for them to reflect, for them to be able to reflect on that as well, and say, you know, actually I need to pay attention to what my emotions are and how I'm feeling. And you know that saying about when the gas mask when the oxygen mask falls down, you know, take the oxygen first before you can help anyone else. You know, so having that self-awareness as well is so important. And when your energy's not there, to check in with yourself and think, you know what, I need to take time out and I need to refuel, and then I can help other people around me.
So don't you feel, Wajeeha, that you and Kay, that you've got a massive part of that, of a student's growth? You know, as much as it's the foundation that you're given to teach, you're still part of that. So you know, you can take some credit for that, can't you?
It's a great job to do, and it's nice to see how students change, you know, on their journey through the training, and then obviously they progress even further after qualifying. And we never stop, do we? You know, as I say, I'm still learning from all my clients, I learn from my students, and it's just great. It's a never-ending journey of growth, I think, doing what we do.
Yeah, I mean, Shangita, you might agree with this. I learn a lot from the young people that I work with every day. You know, some of the stuff that they tell you, and you're like, oh my gosh, where was I? How did I not know that? You know, so
definitely. Sometimes I feel like I'm in in a bubble when you're hearing some of the students and what they're saying. You think, wow, it's so tough for some of those. Really tough for some of these kids, and you think, gosh, to go through something like that at such a young age, how do they handle it? It's so great that they are actually seeking help as well, because they have a stigmatism, isn't it? Oh, you're getting counselling, what's wrong with you? You've got therapy, you know. But it's more and more acceptable, I feel, and the students are embracing it as well. They're not so shy or thinking, oh, I don't want counselling. Some of the students obviously would say, I don't want counselling, I don't need counselling. And you know, the teachers will say, just go for one session, see how you feel. And then being in a school environment, they just feel, oh, well, I'm in the school, so I've got these rules to follow. But when they walk into my office, which is, I've made it very holistic, so I will have candles burning or like something smelling. I've got lovely posters for the kids. I would play games and things like that. And I would say, you know, you're here because you want to be here. If you're forced to be here, you don't have to stay. But because they've been given that option, they haven't been forced, you have to stay here. And I'll say, you can talk about anything. You can shout, scream, swear, whatever you like. As long as it's not at me, you can be yourself. And because they've been given that permission, they feel a bit more relaxed, and they'll be like, yeah, I think I'll come back. 90% will come back.
When I was at my placement, I stayed there for a bit longer and carried on working, and I dealt with children there. And I found the children to be so, if I got on the floor and played a game with them, so they felt more relaxed, and it didn't feel like therapy to them then. You'd be chatting away, and they didn't realise what information they were giving out in just being themselves and being natural. But I think I found that children were more easier to work with sometimes than the adults, because they were willing to change. They were willing to try new things, whereas adults can be very sort of like, oh no, I'm not doing that. But the children I found sometimes were harder in some ways, but in other ways, it swings and roundabouts, isn't it?
And I think it's really valuable for the young people to have the therapy. And I think after this pandemic, like Wajeeha said, we're going to be very busy. You know, there's going to be a great need for us. And it's been really nice catching up with you today and hearing about your journeys. But we do have to stop now because we've run out of time. I think we could go on and talk forever, but we have sort of run out of time. But I hope to talk to you all again soon. And if you've enjoyed watching this video, please give us a like and subscribe to our channel. The next video is going to be titled The New Freedom. Now, what's that going to be about? So look out for that one. But for now, it's time for us to say goodbye. So nice chatting, and bye for now.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Mhm.